All right. Hey, everybody. I know it feels weird because I'm taping, and it feels weird to me because I'm taping, so sorry about that. But I'm glad you're all here. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody had a good Easter break. We've got good weather we're looking forward to. Hopefully all of the drama of last week is behind us. Hopefully everything is settled and calm now. So I'm glad you guys are all here. I'm going to ask you to put your phones away while I get attendance out. And if you guys could each get a piece of paper here, I've got plenty of extras. I'm going to come around and pass these out to you. And we're going to start, today we're going to be talking some more about the human body. Remember last week we were talking about neurotransmitters and the brain and neurons. And we're still talking about the brain. And today we're going to be doing a couple of cool little activities that I think you'll enjoy. But I need to make sure that you have that piece of paper. And if while I'm taking attendance, could you please answer this question right here? It says, what happens to your body when you exercise? So write that down on a piece of paper. Write down all the changes that you can think of that happen to your body when you exercise.
Can I go get a pencil or do that one?
There should be some in the little dealio by the door there. And if not there, I usually have extras in here. You have one there?
Yeah.
Looks like a few people put some extras in here too. Everybody have it? So when I say changes, what happens to your body when you exercise, I'm not talking about long-term changes. Like I'm not talking about getting in shape. I'm talking about what happens immediately. Like if you did a whole bunch of jumping jacks in a row, what would happen to your body?
You run out of breath.
Okay, so you'd be breathing faster.
Muscles will start tightening.
Increase heart rate.
Ooh, nice. You guys have some good ideas.
Yeah, increase heart rate.
What did you say, Madison? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I don't know.
This will just take me a quick second. Jason is testing. Shy is here. Let's see. Robert's out. Rodrigo's testing. Amir's here. Brendan's out. Deshire's here. David. No Memphis. Or Jasmine.
Jasmine, where is Jasmine?
Good question. I don't know. I haven't seen her yet today.
I came to school with her.
So I heard some good responses. I heard you say that you're breathing faster, your heart rate increases, your muscles would tighten up.
Improve circulation.
Yep, you would have some increased circulation to that area of your body where you're using those muscles.
Shortness of breath.
Okay, so you would really be feeling it when you're breathing. Your respirations would definitely be coming faster and you might be more aware of them. And those kids who like to vape would really be feeling it, right?
And smoke, because I'll be
Yeah.
feeling it.
Yeah, that's not good for your cardiovascular health. You know, I don't need to tell you that.
Smoking in general.
No good for you. How about your temperature?
It becomes hotter.
Good
Sweat.
And then what happens? After your heart rate goes up, your respirations go up, your temperature goes up,
You get used to it.
feel tired, you get used to it. What happens after? Sore, okay. So, but your heart rate goes back to normal, right? And your temperature goes back, like you're not hot forever for the whole rest of your life.
Muscles.
Right.
While you rest.
Yep. So all of those changes that you experience while you're working out will change back. Do you know the term for that? Do you remember that? It's one of the characteristics of life. So there's a term for that when your body makes changes and then changes back to maintain a state of being inside your body. So like, this is always the argument against zombie movies, right? Like the physics of zombies doesn't quite work. If you were that hot and you were breathing that fast all the time, you would run out of energy and run out of fuel, and there couldn't be zombies that are laying around for years and years and years just waiting to be reactivated, right? It doesn't work that way. You have to return to normal. So if your heart rate increases, it has to then decrease. If your temperature increases, it has to then decrease. If your rate of respiration goes faster, then it has to slow down. And so what part of your body controls that?
Your mind? I don't know. Your brain? Your heart? I don't know.
So your brain is the entity that's responsible for telling all those other parts of your body what to do. So your brain is sending the messages and maintaining that. The word I was looking for was homeostasis. Can I write that down on the board for you? Remember that as one of the characteristics of life?
Yeah.
So homeo means same, and stasis means state. So your body wants to stay at relatively the same state of being most of the time. If it gets too hot or too cold, it wants to even out to where it's comfortable being. If you're breathing too fast or too slow, it has to make some adjustments so that everything is working well. So I thought we would start, instead of just getting right into a reading about the brain, I have a reading about it. We're going to make a model that talks about how the brain is organized. I thought you might enjoy having a cool little activity where you kind of test your brainstem.
Yeah, we can
See
do
if your
that.
brainstem is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So what I have for you are some timers. Where did I put them? Had them out in the back. There they are. So I have some timers for everybody. And what I want you all to do first is determine what your resting heart rate is, your base heart rate. So what you're going to do is, with a timer, you're going to take your pulse for 30 seconds. And then you're going to multiply that by 2. And that'll be the number of beats per minute that your heart is beating. And that's your resting heart rate. There we go. So everybody, can you make sure that it's working? Now you might need to press the buttons a little bit to make sure that it's in the right mode. You know how these little electronic devices work, right?
Should be at 0.
Yeah, we'll get there. There's one in the middle. There we go, select.
Yeah, I got mine.
Has everybody figured out how to reset it?
No,
So you're at 0?
I can reset it.
You look something down.
Oh my god. Is it easier for you guys? Here, I've got
I
mine.
got it. Oh, no, I don't.
So if I press the button on the right that says select, enough times that it gets me to a place where it's timing, then that's what I'm after. But then I need to reset it to 0 by pressing the button on the left.
Yeah, it says reset at the top.
Okay, good job. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is find my pulse. Do you all know how to do that?
Mm-hmm.
You can take your fingers and find your carotid artery and press gently until you feel the pulsing. Have you done this at the gym? Lots of people do this at the gym.
How you? I don't know.
I was gonna check my siblings' pulse.
So we're gonna do this with partners. So as long as you have a partner that you wanna work with, then, or if you don't wanna work with a partner, you don't have to, you can fly solo. So if you're struggling with your timer, maybe as long as your partner can manage the timer, then
Oh, I
that's fine.
did it.
Got it?
I just pressed it twice. Both of them.
Now I'm having a hard time finding my pulse.
I ain't said
Can
big,
everybody
like,
find your pulse?
big. I think I found mine. So.
Check right here.
Like I can feel it in my body, but I can't feel it with my fingers.
Man. Oh, I can feel it now. Watch it jumping. It's like right here.
You got it? You able to find yours, David?
We were only doing, how long are we doing this?
We're gonna do it for 30 seconds and count however many beats you get in 30 seconds so that we have a number we can work with to figure out how many beats per minute. So 30 seconds is half of a minute, right? So if we multiply whatever number we get in 30 seconds by 2, that tells us how many beats per minute. You follow that? Is everybody able to feel your pulse somewhere? I finally found one, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so as soon as you can find a pulse, and as soon as you've got a timer that works, go ahead and time yourself for 30 seconds. On your mark, get set, whenever you're ready, go.
Wait a minute. Set. How do I know if I'm, okay, there you go. Ready, set. Okay.
Write down however many beats you had in that 30 seconds. So I had 30 seconds of timing, and I had 33 beats. So I want to multiply this by 2 to get however many beats in a minute. So 33 times 2 is 66 beats per minute. And we always want to include our units, remember that. So write that down on your piece of paper there that you wrote your starter question on. This isn't anything real formal. You're going to turn it in so I can see what you did, but you don't have to worry about how you're writing it down. So let's see, I had 33 beats in 30 seconds. And I'm writing on my paper just exactly what I put on the board. I'm going to multiply that by 2. So I had 66 beats per minute. And I'm going to call that my resting heart rate. Now I'm not entirely resting. I'm like standing up and I'm talking and I'm weirdly conscious of the video. But I'm not really exercising in a vigorous way. You all are going to now get up and exercise in a vigorous way. Now that you've got however many beats per minute is your resting heart rate. Like, what was your number, David? Okay, how about you, Amir? 70?
Yeah. I have
Okay.
35 beats.
Okay, that makes sense. So then 35 times 2 is 70. How about you, Shai? How long? 80? Okay. All right, so in Trinity, are you with us here, honey? Hi, sweetie. So what we're going to do now is get your heart rate up. You're going to get up and do you want to run laps around the building? Do you want to do jumping jacks? Do you want to do push-ups? What do you want to do?
Jumping jack probably easy.
Okay, you can do that. Do you want to do it in the room? Do you want to do it in the hall? Do you want to do it outside? Where do you guys want to do it?
You can go outside.
You can go outside.
No.
You don't want to go
It's a good
outside?
day. Come on, why you don't want to go outside?
It's
a good
nice out.
day.
That's a little
You wanna- Man, it's not chilly outside. It's
You're going to
60
exercise
it's
and
60
raise your
degrees outside.
temperature.
It's
It won't
not
be cold
chilly.
for long.
Come on. We can go outside.
All right, we'll do it outside, real quick. It won't be long. We'll only be out there for a few minutes.
She talking
And then
about
when we're out
chilly.
there, bring your timer because as soon as we've got your heart rate up, we have to test it again
It's
to see how
kind
high it can get.
Exactly.
Pick three.
Where you wanna go outside?
Him, it's gonna be 6.
Come on, kiddo, you're just in time. Come on, Jasmine.
good one?
Yeah, that was cool. What are we gonna do?
All right, so that was good. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it that you got involved. I appreciate it that you gave it a shot. Did you feel that your heart rate went up during the
Yeah.
exercise? And do you feel that it's already starting to come back down? So
Yeah.
what part of your body is responsible for making that happen? There was no switch that you flipped on your own self to make it slow down. Anybody know what part of your body?
Brain.
Your brain. What part of your brain?
The back. I don't know.
Well, let's do a little reading and find out. I've got this good article that's very short. Nobody has to read out loud. We'll read it together and we'll answer a couple little questions. I think what you're going to find out is that it's your brain stem that controls those activities that you don't think about at all, usually. All right, I'll sit right here with you. So you all have something to write with. This is your text to keep for your own self. So go ahead and put your name on it. And you can annotate it any way you want to.
Anyone need a highlighter?
Thank you for getting that, sweetie. Madison's getting highlighters. If anybody needs highlighters, I've got one right here I can toss to somebody if somebody needs it. David, you want one? You want one, Amir? Shy, you want a highlighter? All right, here we go. Should I start us off? I'll start us off. So the title of this little reading is called The Brain. I'm going to highlight that for myself so I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. It says, what weighs about 3 pounds and contains up to 100 billion cells? The answer is the human brain. The brain is the control center of the nervous system. It's like the pilot of a plane. It tells other parts of the nervous system what to do. Well, that's a good analogy, isn't it? That it's like the pilot telling other parts what to do. I like that analogy. Anybody want to take over, or should I keep going? The brain is also the most complex organ in the body. Each of its 100 billion neurons has synapses connected to it. Synapses connecting it with thousands of other neurons. All those neurons use a lot of energy. In fact, the adult brain uses almost a quarter of the total energy used by the body. The developing brain of a baby uses an even greater amount of the body's total energy. That's because their proportions are different.
Mm-hmm.
So it uses a lot of energy. That's the point of that paragraph. So there are a whole lot of neurons, 100 billion neurons, and they use a lot of energy. Do you make notes when you read? I do. The brain is the organ that lets us understand what we see, hear, or sense in other ways. It also allows us to use language, think, learn, and remember. The brain controls the organs in our body and our movements as well. The brain consists of 3 main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. So that's 3 main parts. 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. Should we learn about these different parts? And then we're going to make a model. And we're going to draw the model. Okay. So the cerebrum is the largest part of our brain. It sits on top of the brainstem. And the cerebrum controls functions that we are aware of, such as problem solving and speech. It also controls voluntary movements like waving to a friend. Whether you're doing your homework or jumping hurdles, you're using your cerebrum. The next part, the cerebellum, is the next largest part of the brain. It lies under the cerebrum and behind the brainstem. The cerebellum controls body position, coordination, and balance. Whether you're riding a bicycle or writing with a pen, you are using your cerebellum. The third part, the smallest part, is the brainstem. The brainstem is the smallest of the three main parts of the brain. It lies directly under the cerebrum. The brainstem controls basic body functions, such as breathing, heartbeat, and digestion. So which part of the brain did we use when we just did that little activity testing heart rate and exercise? It was the brainstem. So the brainstem is what told the heart to beat faster and the respirations to happen faster when you needed more oxygen and more energy for your muscles. And it's also what told those same things to slow down when that demand was gone. So the brainstem also carries information back and forth between the cerebrum and the spinal cord. All right, so the first part, the cerebrum, is the biggest part. The cerebellum, is the next biggest part. And then the brainstem is the smallest. I'm going to use my yellow highlighter and color the brainstem on the diagram on the right yellow. Can everybody see what part is brainstem? Just that little stem part. Now I'm going to use my blue pen and I'm going to color in the cerebellum.
What's that?
That's the next largest part, and it's kind of behind the brainstem.
Oh,
See it
yeah,
here
fine.
where I've colored blue?
I'm just using my pencil.
That's fine. And then the rest that you can see is the cerebrum. And
Did your husband get that brain scan?
he did. Thank you for remembering and asking. It's all good. He's all good. It's just stress migraines. He was sure it was something worse, but it's just stress migraines. So yay for that. Boo for headaches, but yay for it not being something worse.
Right.
All right, so this is the big part. The big part is the cerebellum. The cerebrum. I misspoke. Not a good teacher thing to do. All right, so the cerebrum is the biggest part, and then below that is the cerebellum, and below that is the brainstem. So if you think of it in terms of primal needs, like everybody has to have your heart beating, right? You have to have consistent blood pressure, and you have to have your blood chemistry be maintained correctly. Like all those basic functions that keep you alive, that's your brainstem. That's the smallest part of your brain. And then there are some other parts of movement that you need control over. Like if I asked somebody to walk and follow this line on the floor, see this line on the floor? What if I said, walk on it and don't take your feet off of it? Well, I would need to be balancing. So I am using that next biggest part of my brain, right? I'm terrible at balancing at this age. I should do some more yoga. There we go. What if I wanted to do it backwards? Same part of my brain. I'm still balancing, still using the same part of my brain. Now, if I want to argue and tell you that I shouldn't have to do it, then I'm using a different part of my brain. I'm using the outside, the biggest part where the thinking happens. So, if we were going to represent all this with one shape, would a circle be a good choice?
Yeah.
Yeah, how would we divide it up if we were going to make a circle to represent the brain?
This is sort of an oval.
An oval, okay. What if it doesn't have to look like the brain? What if it could be any shape?
What, actually? A baseball glove with like just a stem.
So you're onto something really sophisticated. There's what we call the hand model. So, and I wasn't even going to talk about this today, but since you brought it up, if you take your hand and you say that your hand is your brain, then your wrist is the brain stem, Now fold your thumb in, and that's all your emotion and your fear. Now pull your fingers down on top, and that is the cerebrum that goes around the outside. So your knuckles on top are like the ridges in your brain, the ridges and the folds in your brain. So if you can imagine that this is your brain, good job. So you came up with that idea to make this famous model all by yourself. So you could imagine that this is your brain. Brain stem, this is what we call the limbic system, the fear and the emotions, and then the thinky part on the outside. But if we were gonna do a shape, what if we did this shape? What if we did a triangle shape? What part